You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Downloadable audio episodes can be found in the podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. We're locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. And today we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Scott McGohan of McGohan Brabender. But I am excited to talk to Scott because we're talking about company culture, which is something that I didn't even know was a thing until I got employees. So, Scott, why don't you tell us? Let's just start with what is McGohan Brabender, and then we can dive into company culture.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. We represent about 1,500 employers. So what we really do is actually help employers make decisions in regards to their benefit structure, their health plans, disability, dental, and help them orchestrate those financially, communicate those to the workforce strategically, and then reach back and service those employers and those employees along the way. So about 100,000 employees that we represent inside of our customers, roughly about, maybe I say 250,000 belly buttons, moms, dads, kids, families, and about $1.5 billion of healthcare spend. And we love what we do.
All right. How did you get into that?
You know, my dad started in 1972.
Whoa. Okay. That's a while ago.
Yeah. He started in 1972. I started here. I think I was the sixth employee in 1988. Today, we probably have roughly between two companies, close to 500 people and 5 different offices. And
wow. All right. And are you in charge of all that?
I went from a CEO role. That changed in September. We've transitioned our leadership team to a new CEO and a new president.
Okay.
And then we actually sold our company to our employees right in the middle of COVID. So we are an ESOP, employee-owned company.
Wow. So was the planning for that pre-pandemic, or was that during the pandemic?
I think it was really the whole thing around, obviously, private equity's coming at us, public companies were coming at us, and we probably could have sold for a lot, had a cool beach house and all kinds of stuff like that. But, I've been around long enough to know what happens, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, capitalism's wonderful in this world. That's why we have it. But what we really cared about is each community, our workforce, and we knew the ESOP was probably had the most virtue inside of that decision.
Okay.
To keep jobs locally and keep our organization local. And so it was really around a position to be fiercely independent.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And we've had that posture, since the inception.
So the ESOP thing, I guess let's just go down that rabbit hole a little bit, because that's always been intriguing to me. I have a buddy of mine that used to work at a place that has ESOP, and they've been that way for a long time. It was a grocery store, or is a grocery store. And there were baggers, grocery tellers and stuff like that they became millionaires because they stayed working that long, and the business grew really big from just a few grocery stores. So it's interesting to me, like, whoa, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So can you tell me more about that? I guess why you chose that road, and how big of a deal or how challenging it was to put that together?
It's tough. It's only for the right kind of people, because it is a long process, legally, structurally, those sorts of things. But, we also, one of the things that we really wanted to do, and it was kind of an edict from my dad, is that he never wanted an employee have to come in and ever borrow money to get a plane ticket to go see their kids.
Oh,
we always had this position that we would match our 401k up to 6%. Always have, always will. And then the ESOP is really, it's probably like just a stack on top of a retirement plan. So every year employees are given shares of the company. They don't have to buy them. They're actually given to them.
okay.
And then when you leave here, you leave with your 401k savings, you leave with your ESOP shares, and and hopefully at the end of the day, we have folks here that are here 20, 30 years and retire very, very comfortably.
All right. So tell me about an employee that comes on. Is there a minimum length of time before they join the ESOP? And then if they leave, what do they do with the shares? Who do they sell them to?
Yeah, there's like a vesting schedule. So, and every company's, different. So, when we actually started it, everyone that actually was physically there in the room the day we announced it got shares, which was really cool.
Okay.
I had a new hire come up to me and she goes, I'm going to go call my mom and dad. I'm like, what are you going to tell them? And she said, I'm going to tell them I own a company. I'm like, that's
Ah,
awesome. Go call your mom and dad. Tell them you own a company. But when you leave employment, then the ESOP actually buys those shares back for
all
this.
right. And
So
how do they figure out value at that moment?
every year there's an evaluation that's done by an outside entity. So a trustee manages that, and that trustee is really hired to protect the employees.
Okay.
Because you can imagine, I don't know, there's probably be some shenanigans if you had a bunch of business owners saying, hey, we're going to sell the company to the employees and we'll let them know what it's worth. And I'm not saying that, people are
Right.
manipulating, but there is an independent trustee that sits over the entire thing. And their job is solely to protect the employees of the organization.
All right. So as I'm picturing this, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like every time you add an employee that the total number of shares would then increase. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So then if you take the total valuation of the company, each share, every time you add an employee, then goes down a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a way to neutralize on that. It's almost like buying every year the stock, obviously the price changes. Hopefully it
Mm-hmm.
goes up, and it has gone up
Right.
significantly. But because of the distribution of new shares, it would not mean that other owners would get suppressed because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
All right.
everyone's protected in that.
Gotcha.
Same case would be if someone sold a lot of shares. They're not suppressed by that financial liability of paying off those shares.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. So how does that work from the company side? Because that means that you, the company, I guess I don't, the ESOP, would have to have somewhat of a piggy bank set aside so that if an employee leaves, that you can essentially buy them out
Yeah,
at
yeah. So you're
any
building
moment,
up.
kind of thing, right?
Right. So you've got to build that up, build cash up over, and the government really, quite frankly, the government really incents ESOPs.
Oh, they do.
They do. And here's
Okay.
why. Social
Interesting.
Security is going to be bankrupt in, we believe, 2027. But
That's soon.
you and I are probably old enough to know that we've heard those warnings before, right?
Yeah, for decades.
Yeah, for decades. But the thing with an ESOP, what the government sees is the fact that it's an extra layer of retirement income
Okay.
for Americans. And when Americans don't have retirement savings, unfortunately, they can rest on Social Security, but that isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have to pay for Medicare. And then, unfortunately, if they would dip below that, they go into Medicaid, which is also a government program.
Mm-hmm.
So the government sees this as a vehicle to protect actually a layer, but before someone hits the safety net. So under an
Oh,
ESOP,
interesting.
there is no taxation of an organization. There's no federal taxes, none.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
so if you're a business, and let's just say you earn $1 million, if you're an S corp, you'd have to pay individual taxes on that based on the shareholders. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you're a C corp, you'd have to pay federal taxes. So the government has said, look, we'll just defer all taxation on the entity, and then those dollars can be used to reinvest, fund the ESOP moving forward. So creatively, they've done a really nice job in making that available for organizations.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that because I know C corporation, you're essentially double taxed if you're single member, but the
Right.
company gets taxed on profits, and then they pay those profits to you, and then you get taxed on them.
Yep.
And S corporation, there's a little bit of a game you can play, but essentially you're still taxed. It's just
Correct.
pass through taxed. So the ESOP, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So
So yeah.
the paperwork that you're doing, is it more like operating agreement type stuff, or is it you have to file something with the government or
Oh
some
yeah. Yeah. So
agency to
there's
let them know this is a who owns the
yep.
company kind of thing?
Department of Labor, trustee, governing boards, structure.
Okay.
But quite frankly, it's the way a lot of companies run their business anyway.
Okay.
So it's not abundantly overwhelming.
Interesting. And is this, I guess me, the company that I have, the call answering service, we have employees all over the country in different states. I don't know. Are you guys all in an office where one state's involved, or are you where you
We've
have
got
multiple
9
states
different
involved?
offices in 3 states.
Okay. Okay. So there's some variety there.
Yep.
And was that so with the ESOP? That's a federal thing, I imagine. So did the states, plural, get involved at all?
You know, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I'm sure our CFO would have an opinion on my statement.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. I want to shift gears and talk about company culture. You wrote a book pretty recently, and I guess when you reached out to me, the talk of company culture was that's just something that piqued my interest. Because we're talking, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I met a woman at a networking event, and she said that her business helps companies with their culture. And I was thinking, come on, you just hire employees, they're awesome, you pay them, they go home, rinse, repeat. And then I learned as I had more employees that that is not necessarily the case.
Yep.
So, can you speak on that? The book, company culture, all that jazz, what has worked for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think every company has a culture, whether they want one or not. And if you think you don't need one, you don't have to have one. This is America, but you have one whether you want one or not.
Right. It's like a personality, it just happens.
100%. And then historically, what I've seen with the workforce is when people come in our organization, all of our organizations, people really are curious about 2 things. Number one is, this is not our employee handbooks or in the language and onboarding people, but they're looking at number one, how do I get in trouble around here?
Oh,
And number 2, how do I get rewarded? And if
oh,
that's
interesting.
wonky,
Okay.
yeah, if that's wonky in your organizations, your culture is wonky. And a culture of an organization is really, at least in my opinion, about the ownership structure, the leaders of the organization. What do you want your workforce to wake up and drive into work and think about? What does that mean? And it better, by golly, be a heck of a lot more about them as human beings,
Right.
about their families, about
Mm-hmm.
their future, about their prosperity than it is yours. And then a culture, it's like a child, like you got to nurture it, you got to grow it, you got to feed it. And then in most organizations, what I really talk to a lot of people about is inside your companies, what you allow, you actually encourage. So you
What
really
you
got to look at.
allow. All right. Let me think. Okay. What you allow, you encourage. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little scary,
It
but
is
true.
scary. It is. And honestly, the reason why the book came out is about 25 years ago, I had an assistant come in my office and say, you have values painted on the walls. You don't exhibit one of them. I have my
Oh,
own set of
ouch.
values. Oh, yeah. And today's my last day. And my first thought was, who else heard that? So I was looking out the door, like, did anyone else hear that conversation?
Yeah.
And then I went home and I was more nervous with what people would think about me with her leaving than physically her leaving, which is kind of a sick, twisted thought.
Yeah.
Went back and kind of talked to her and said, hey, if I hired a coach and I gave you access to that coach, and it's obviously I know how to produce, I know how to grow results, but maybe I lack the ability to influence and encourage people. And we made an agreement. We'd ask each other questions every day. Am I okay? Are you okay? Are we okay?
To the coach or to each other, you and
To
her?
each other. Yeah.
Okay.
And then it really gave me like a breath of maybe checking out and understanding the true gift of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. I got to really go back and rebuild myself. From ultimately, at the end of the day, I was a founder's kid. Every company has one of me in it. They're called destructive heroes. They're people that manage a lot of revenue. They're people that leaders tolerate. They're people that we unfortunately have people quit because of these people. And what I'm really encouraging employers is they're tearing apart your financials, but
Mm.
you're terrified of doing something about it. Now, some destructive heroes, and I'm one of them, they can be redeemed and they can be restored. But they're actually costing your organization a lot of money.
Tell me, so I relate to that. So I want to dig into that a little bit. The destructive hero. Tell me about the hero portion.
The hero part of it is they think they're heroes. They're not.
They individually, not
Cor-
necessarily other people in the company.
correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, well that hurts. Okay. And
Yeah.
the
100.
destructive
Yeah,
part,
yeah, yeah.
tell me about the destructive part.
Oh, they just tear things apart. I mean, they tear people apart. They work 80 hours a week and shove 80 hours a week down someone that's working 40 hours a week. They manipulate, they talk about behind people's back. They'll do whatever it takes to make like things happen.
Okay, so the ultimate goal sounds like it's positive. It's just a different means, not necessarily the best means of achieving that goal.
Correct. Yep.
But
Yep.
there must be value in that though, because see, like I can relate to this totally, totally. And so maybe that's me just trying to justify this. But is the idea that with the destructive hero things can get done faster? There's just somewhat of a wake behind.
Yeah. 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 You have to really ask yourself, what's that costing your organization?
Okay,
What's
fair.
that costing your organization in regards to even customer relationships inside the building? And I was doing a class one time. And the guy said, I don't have a culture. I don't need one. I'm like, well, you have one. He goes, no, I don't. I'm like, yeah, you got one. I can tell you right now. And if you're the type of organization that, quite frankly, just, looks at results and that's all you care about,
Mm-hmm.
you can collect a lot of people that'll work for you. Just don't lie to them and tell them you care about them and you care about their future. And you're like, just say, I want to make a pile of money and you're going to make some too. Let's go have
Oh,
fun, beat the
all right.
drums. And the purpose of the book is really around who are you on the inside that needs to be restored and redeemed? Who is your organization? And how do you want that to come into life? Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of companies will say, I want to be like Google. I want ping pong tables and ball chairs. I'm like, you're in manufacturing. You can't pull that off.
No,
So who are you and who do you want to be? And then make that honest. You don't have to lie to yourself. Certainly don't lie to others. Does that make sense?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, let's go back to when did you call her secretary?
Yeah. Assistant. Yep.
Assistant. Okay. When she comes to you and she's like, hey, you got all these principles on the wall. You don't follow any of them. Was she wrong?
I asked my wife that. I was like, and my wife said, well, she's right. And I'm like, why didn't you ever
Oh,
tell me? And she said, well, I did, but you don't listen. And then I talked to my
interesting.
kids and they were little. We were talking 25 years ago. And
Mhm.
here's what I realized. Our kids aren't going to tell us the truth because if they do, they lose stuff like cell phones and car keys. I mean, you know, and then, so in the book, it really talks about who's your truth teller inside your organization. Victoria retired from here last year after 25 years. And I got to, we have a victory card in our building. We wheel people around when we celebrate big events. I got to wheel her to the front seat of her car, give her a big hug. So she was my truth teller.
All right. So at that day when she was ready to walk,
Yep.
you made it like, okay, let's just make a plan. And she was
Yep.
willing to give you a
Yeah.
chance, which is incredible.
Yep. And stayed 25 years.
All right. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, when you said like, hey, there's a plan, let's fix this kind of thing. I imagine something like that to me is very difficult to change in a light switch instant.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that she had to put up with some gray area
Oh,
between
yeah.
you being you at the time and you being the person that she wanted you to be later. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I got a coach, and that coach really kind of helped me kind of maybe unwrap. I had a really warped sense of self. So my perception of self was self-worth equaled performance plus the opinions of other people.
Okay.
In other words, your opinion of me meant more than my own opinion of myself. So,
Oh,
and then what you end up doing, and if you're in sales, it's even worse because those of us that are in sales are really used to being a chameleon. So I act one way in front of a CFO, one way in front of HR, and
yeah, you got to adapt. Yeah.
yeah. And so I just really had to go back and say, hey, I've got to throw some masks away. I gotta break them. I'm going to create one identity, and that identity is the relationship that I have with myself, regardless of what other person comes into my life. And that was a lot of hard work. It took a lot of time, but initially when I got the coach, and honestly, I'd like to say my reasons for getting the coach were super virtuous. I was just trying to get out of trouble. I mean, I was just
Fair.
like,
Totally
yeah,
fair.
I'm in trouble. I got to get out of trouble. But, through like 5 or 6 years of reading emotional intelligence, learning about, the power of self-awareness, I got really curious about people. And how do you encourage people? How do you influence people? How do you give them a reputation to live up to? And I think that's why I was asked to be the CEO after so many years. I don't think that guy 25 years ago would have been running anything.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, no.
So what position were you in 25 years ago?
I was in sales.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were the founder's son, right?
Yep.
They
Yep.
stuck you in sales.
Yep. I was in sales. Yep.
So here's, I guess this is probably more a reflection on me as I'm talking to you. You made this change, or we're going through the coaching and stuff like this. Was there ever a moment or a time when you listened to the coach and you're like, you know what? But acting this way or being the way I am has gotten me pretty good and gotten the company pretty far and helped me make sales. And it's actually not as negative as a lot of people are making it out to be, because some of them feel like I hurt their feelings. So is there any other, I don't know, kind of the angel and devil on your shoulders there chatting?
100%. I mean, honestly, I was trying to fill a big hole in my soul with stuff, and I was good at sales. So I had cars, boats, lake home, had all the things.
Okay.
But I've always said that the mirror is a wonderful place to find a friend. And I was never a friend with myself. I was just ultimately I was just scared.
Okay.
And
scared of
not knowing who I was and being a fake.
Okay. So you felt like you're just a rat on a wheel kind of thing.
100%. And I thought the cars and clothes and things would make that all better. And it didn't. It actually got worse. And then, through self-awareness and through a torquing in my soul and so forth, by the grace of God, I got to keep all my stuff and got to grow as a better father, a better husband, and a better friend, and a better leader. I wouldn't trade any of it for a second. And it was hard.
Okay.
But I wouldn't trade any of it for a second.
Interesting. Tell me about, let's go back to the principles that you had on your wall. You hung them up, right?
Yeah. Well, actually we had our workforce do it. So we sat down and said, hey, who are we? So we had like family, we're a family. Well,
okay.
We're teamwork. We're about integrity, doing the right thing. We're about communication. And we verbalize those all the time. But back then I didn't exhibit those at all.
Oh, so the company put them together. You slapped them on your wall, but you didn't follow them.
Correct. Yep.
Interesting. Oh, that is so interesting. All right.
Yeah.
So then you made the shift, you made the change. Let's go to the coach. How did you find a coach to help you with that?
Yeah. My dad knew somebody that kind of knew somebody, and I just kind of connected with him. And he asked me the first time we got together, he said, what do you value? And this is really bad, and I'm super embarrassed by this, but it was all material stuff.
Oh, interesting.
And I wrote him down, and my family was in there, but it wasn't my first thought.
Okay.
It's kind of like maybe in the middle.
Boat, house.
Yeah.
I think my kid is in there somewhere. Okay.
And he was just like, man, this is messed up. I'm like, what's wrong? So like, I didn't know.
Oh,
I just, we don't learn that growing up. We just don't. I look at somebody and say, I like what they have. I want it. So what is it going to take to get it? And unfortunately, what we don't understand is when we get it, there's some shenanigans along the way. And I created, as you said, like there was a wake.
All right.
So
interesting. It's so interesting because I feel like it's somewhat opposing ideals, because we're told by all the gurus more or less to find a goal and move towards that goal, focus on that goal, the one thing kind of thing, push, push, push. But then there's obviously going to be fallout from anything, opportunity cost, whatever, from going towards that goal. And I think it's safe to say you're one of the first people that I've ever talked to that actually talked about the results of that wake. But you can't say don't go for your goal.
Correct.
I suppose what you're saying is find more higher value goals, not necessarily monetarily, but
Yeah, it's really based on it's it's like what Simon Sinek talks about, the why,
Mhm.
why we do what we do. And the big thing for me, because I've certainly seen a lot of people that behave like the way I used to, and they certainly have a lot more than I have. And if I use that as a measuring stick, my pillow is very hard at night.
All right, fair. Okay.
And then what I want is I want a soft pillow. Now I'm going to make a ton of mistakes. But I want to, the good book teaches us to love our neighbor as ourselves, or the golden rule to do unto others as we would do unto ourselves. And I believe the problem with a lot of leaders is you can't be kind to others until you can begin to be kind to yourself.
Totally fair.
You can't encourage others unless you encourage yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't love yourself, not in an egotistical way, then humanity doesn't have a shot.
Agreed.
And so it's unwrapping all of that and unpacking all of that. And the goals and aspirations, they're different. To be honest with you, I think they're a lot more noble and they're a lot more authentic.
All right. Interesting. Tell me, you must have stumbled along the way. I imagine you get this coach, you tell him what you value. The coach is like, well, you're crazy. We got some work cut out here. There must have been some stumbles along the way where you're like, hey, coach, I bought a Ferrari. What's up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. Done that 100%.
All right.
And I'm a big fan of like progress, not perfection.
Okay.
And, just as long as I always say, just try to put together a good decision sandwich. Like put two good decisions together before you make a bad one. 'Cause we're all going to make them.
Right.
And because when, if you're like me, when I made my change, there was a bunch of naysayers out there. Like that guy's not going to change. I'm sure Victoria was that way. Like, oh, this guy's a hot freaking mess. He's not going to make it.
Well, she must have had some belief in something to stick around.
I think so. And then there you get naysayers, bystanders, and victims, people that won't believe in you. And your job is not to like do that for that. You should do it for yourself and not for other people. But yeah, it's hard work. But at the end of the day, man, it is worth it. It is absolutely truly worth it.
So I imagine there's a weight that's lifted then, because you're no longer trying to get the next big thing or keep up with the Joneses kind of thing. There's a freedom in less, I suppose, right?
Yeah. And then what's even uncanny is success comes faster and higher.
All right.
Because you're out of the way. What you realize is you were actually in the way of that success because your ego, and I'm talking about me, your ego was so big, you had to be wrapped around it. And you thought you were kind of maybe oil to that machine, and you weren't. You were a wrench that clogged up that machine and broke it all the freaking time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, life just gets easier, better,
all right,
faster.
So after you make this change, Victoria sticks around. Were there other people, other employees, or even your wife, kids, whatever, that came to you and said, hey, I noticed the change for the better?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Even my kids, and they're older now. They're 34 and 31. But they saw, and there's a lot of stories in the book about my son and my daughter and the crazy stuff I used to do. And I mean, just nutty.
Okay. Crazy stuff with work?
Oh yeah. With work, work 80, 90 hours a week. And then I just buy him stuff. Right. I was like, well, that's what love is buying them stuff.
Oh,
well, that isn't what love was to them. Love was maybe going to a soccer game or watching her cheer at a football game. And all of that was just foreign. I could never see it because my ego was that big.
All right. So I guess I talk a little bit about in one of my books, the Noctility, No One Can Do It Like I Do It, where you get a little bit of ego, where business owners, this is a thing. There has to be some form of ego, I imagine, with just about any business owner, because you're going out there saying that you can do a better job than just getting a job. So I imagine you have this feeling that no one can do this like I can do it. So I'm the one that has to do it. But then there's only 24 hours in a day. And you have to, in order to do it, you have to take that time. which means that that's taking away from time with your kids. You're not
Right.
at the soccer game because you're busting tail at work. For the better or not, I guess could be
Yeah.
argued
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
way.
Yep.
All right. Tell me, so over the course of time, as you get this coach, how does the company do?
You know, um, I mean, the company, and it probably begins on like my dad's investment philosophy is, hey, we're not going to invest in each other. We're going to invest in our customers. So they
Oh,
need resources. We're going to buy them. We need more employees to help them. That's what we're going to do. And that was a really good position for us to be in is, hey, our shareholders are our customers. When we invest in them, then they'll stay with us. So that was a mindset that we just locked on to.
all right. Can you
Uh,
elaborate on that a little bit? How are you investing in your customers?
you know, it was like in regards to, you know, at least in our role, what they do is the government has massive compliance elements that our customers have to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
forms and paperwork and you know, human resources. All they want to do is hire and retain a workforce, but they're
Right.
burdened by, you know, paperwork. So hey, what if we just say, hey, we'll just remove that paperwork from you? So we'll bring inside resources. We'll just do it for you. You know,
Oh, wow.
we'll handle the compliance work. We'll handle the communication work. So benefit structure. We have a full blown studio in our back, you know, in the back of our building. We'll do videos for your workforce. We'll talk about their benefits. Anything that stops them from getting people, keeping people, and growing profitably, we're willing to say we'll do that for you.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And the competition doesn't have that mindset. So it's like, well, do you do this, this, and that? And they're like, no, we don't do that. And it's like, well, then that's it. So it's worked for, you know, 50 years. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah, that is fascinating right there. Because I with people all over the country, there are every time I open the mailbox, there's a pile of paper from different states and stuff like that. And I joked with the bookkeeper. I'm like, I think some of these people at the individual states, feel like all we have to do as business owners is just fill out paperwork.
Oh yeah.
That's all we want to do. Because I feel like this could be done simpler. One, I shouldn't have to go to the mailbox. I should go to my email inbox, but
Right.
many states insist on mail, which that alone is clunky. And it's just this huge, just I guess constant annoyance of paperwork, just this barrage. So I could see how that would be a huge benefit. Because I end up having to hire a bookkeeper and just say, take this pile of paper and just do what needs to be done. It's tough. Oh, you're muted for a second.
HR they wear like 10 hats.
Yeah.
And even what we do, they don't even want to do that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, there's other things they'd rather be doing. So like, well, we'll say, hey, what do you love to do? Imagine if you will. Imagine if you didn't have to do this part of your job, what else would you do? And like, I'd go recruit. I was like, well, great. Then let us just take that part of your job from you. We'll do it. So you can go do it. You can go do and do what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that works out really well. And, you know, maybe sometimes not so well. We're not perfect.
Sure. No company is, no person
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Fair. Totally fair. Tell me about the book, just writing it. What was the inspiration for actually putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard? I guess to
Like a
get it
really
done.
good friend of mine, and we were just meeting for a long time. And as he was just kind of thinking about, hey, what's next in his life and what does purpose look like? And then
Mm-hmm.
after we met, probably 3 or 4, he goes, you should write a book. I'm like, I can't sit still for 10 minutes. What are you talking about? You know, I've said life's a wonderful teacher and she rarely gets an apple on her desk. So the book is really around where I've made a lot of mistakes in my life and what that's taught me. I've heard a lot of, and I don't want to pick on academia, but I've heard a lot of people talk about culture and organizational structure. And in the back of my mind, where a lot of people, I'm like, have you ever done it? Because if you haven't done it, you probably shouldn't teach it. Now,
Fair. Totally fair.
I could get in trouble for saying that, but
You
and
know,
the
you're
reason,
not wrong. You're
yeah,
absolutely right.
and the reason why I wrote it is because like I've done it. I moved from 7 employees to 500 people. I've gone through some massive structural changes. Culture is the most important thing in my role as CEO. That is at the tip of the spear.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can help people, you know, redeem and restore their culture and change it and shift it, then that'd be great. So that was really the purpose of the book.
Awesome. And how long ago did you publish it?
It came out in, September, August.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. It's a
So
blur.
2023, so still pretty recent.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So the book is Culture is an Inside Job. And where can people find the book? Just to give you a quick
Amazon.
plug here, right?
Yep. Yeah.
The Book Place. There we go.
The Book
So
Place.
let's dig into culture a little bit, company culture. Uh, when I first met this woman, she started talking about company culture, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she explained it, and I thought, okay, you may be onto something there. But I didn't know. She's like, what is your company culture like? I remember her asking me a question that was more or less that. And I was trying to think, boy, I don't know. And then she said, well, if your employees had to describe your company culture in one word or three words, what would they say? And I was dumbfounded because my first thought is, they'd say it was awesome. And she's like, would they? Like, probably not. I don't know. So tell me, how do you figure out? Because I'm always, if you want to go somewhere, you got to figure out where you are, then figure out your destination. We can figure out the path later. How do you figure out what your company culture is now at this moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of time. You have a lot of people that my only recommendation to companies is like, don't hire a consultant to tell you what your culture is.
Okay.
Now you can have them help you organize, but the words of your culture should come from your workforce.
Okay.
And then you find people and you have them inside your company. Those people that you trust, that you would hand your house keys, your car keys, and your bank account information to. You need 2 or 3 of those people. Then you need maybe 1 or 2 people that you don't trust at all. Like they're late, they show up, they're probably going to talk behind your back. So those are the naysayers, the bystanders, and the victims.
Okay. Did you say you need those, or you just have those?
You need them for feedback because they're probably willing to tell you the truth more than the people that you trust.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And you need both sides. And then you actually have those people go out and ask the employees those questions. So if you had to describe McGohan Brabender to someone for the first time, how would you describe the organization? And there's 2 points of it. The first point is what they would say, honestly, in truth. The second part is what you want them to say. And there's the gap.
All right.
Job as a leader is you got to fill that gap. And then as a leader too, as an owner, you can't be, I had one guy said, I want a great culture. I'm like, what does a great culture look like? And like back to the same thing, ping pong tables. And I'm like, well, if I had to walk out and ask your workforce, what kind of guy are you? They'd say I'm a jerk because I'm tough. And I was like, okay, well then we can't go out and tell everyone that we want to be great when you're not even good. Fair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if we just stood in front of the workforce and just said, hey, I just want to be better. Like that's a lot more honest than saying I want to be great. Great's impossible in their eyes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, because they're thinking that is way too far away from where you are now.
Yeah, way too far away. And how do you just get to not their truth, not your truth, but how do you get to the truth in your organization in regards to where you are today? And then you just build the vision around, who I want to be, who I want the organization to be. And it's fun. It's a blast.
Yeah, I have found since I had this conversation with a woman, I was more in tune to even know that it existed. That company culture was a thing, that I was oblivious to it before. And I paid attention to it. And I learned, I guess, mistakes. I guess that's how you learn, right? By making some bad hires. Even one bad hire. It's so interesting. It was interesting, kind of outsider looking in, even though it was my own company, so it wasn't the greatest experiment in the world. It was an expensive one. Hiring one bad hire caused just this gray cloud to go over the whole company. I remember that it was probably in the neighborhood of 8 years ago. One bad hire, and it just changed everything in a very negative light. Stuff went awry just with that one bad hire. And we needed someone fast. She was right there. I was like, you can do the job. It's great. So it wasn't intentional to put this bad person in there.
Right.
But holy cow, did that made some challenges. And we got rid of her, but I bet it took us 2 years to recover from that. after
Oh
she was
yeah.
gone.
Yeah. I mean, it can be very, very expensive.
Yeah. Oh my
Very expensive.
gosh.
Yeah. And you know what's great about McGohan and Brabender today is we don't have to weed out the bad people. Our workforce does.
Oh, so tell me how they do that.
They'll do it like, well, we have these, what we call it, like our core truths. So, and I believe most leaders should be, probably your number one job is you need to be an amazing storyteller.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell a story, you probably shouldn't lead.
Fair. Totally
Uh,
fair. Love
yeah.
it.
And then if you're a storyteller, you're telling stories in your organization about people that are exhibiting the core truths of your organization. Now, the cool thing about telling a story is most people want to be in a story. So they
Oh,
hear a story and they're like, I'm going to be in the next chapter. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to see if I can nudge my way into that chapter. But then there's people in the building that understand like our core truths. And if somebody like goes off, goes off kind of the grid, they'll say, that's not the way we do things around here. This isn't going to work. And HR is not notified immediately, right? The people actually, and now we're an ESOP. So everyone's an owner. So now everybody understands, hey, this is my company.
oh, they have vested interest.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Like,
All
hey,
right.
like we had like, let's say you order a bunch of lunches and someone says, well, 5 people didn't show up, $10 a lunch. What's the big deal? $50. I'm like, hold on a second. You know what it costs to make $50? It's not 50. They'll go $50. I'm like, no, 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 it doesn't. No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no, no, no.
no, no.
That's what the ad executives would like you to believe, right?
Yeah. I mean, so if you make 10% margin, you got to make $500 to pay the $50. What? I'm like, oh yeah, you do that math every day. You just do it differently. Gas station, grocery store. Like a business is just like a human being, behaves the same way. And you get people that understand that. They'll do really brave, great things.
Interesting. I love it. That is pretty clever. So now you've come to the point where you're essentially a step or two away from retirement, and you look back at all that you've accomplished over the years. Tell me, what is the thing that stands out that you're most proud of?
Golly. I mean, obviously, I've been married 36 years, so my wife's my best friend.
Wow, congrats on that.
Yeah. I
That's
got a
impressive.
yeah, 34-year-old daughter, 2 grandkids. We should have had them first on this planet. This planet would be really nice if we had grandkids first. 31-year-old son, he's a filmmaker. So probably gratefully today that my answer would be more around what I have in regards to my relationships.
Okay.
But, probably in 2010, when the Affordable Care Act was passed, when the government basically said, hey, I think we want your job. What are we going to do next? Is retooling this organization,
Oh,
tearing it down to the nubs and just say, hey,
okay.
we're going to start all over. And who are we going to be? With no plan, no strategy, no book, no manual, no podcast to listen to,
Right.
right? Let's
Yeah,
just,
2010 was a different time.
yeah, we're just going to get mulch underneath our fingernails and we're going to restore it. And we were brave enough to do it and we never looked back. And it just took off like a rocket.
So tell me about that. I guess what part of the business did that go after? Because are you guys, I mentioned you go through or work with insurance companies, or
We
I guess
do.
tell me about the foundation there.
Yeah. And I think that even, when the Affordable Care Act was passed, everybody that did what we did, like an insurance broker, the perception was the government's just going to take that over. So we're going to have Medicare for all. We're not
Oh,
going to
gotcha.
do
Okay.
this. And then our mindset was, yeah, we could run scared. And trust me, there are days when I wanted to.
Oh, I get it.
Or we could say our customers are going to need us more than ever because of what you said is the fact that the government doesn't do a great job of taking care of business. They
No.
just shove more paperwork down our throats.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew even if the government did that, our customers would need our help. So how can we help them? How do we help them? And we knew if we help them, our revenue, it would be okay.
Yeah.
Like we'd be okay. We'd be
Mhm.
okay. People would pay us for that. They'd take care of us. There'd be confidence inside of that. And I don't think it was immature. I think it was brave and it was fun. I don't want to go back to those days, but
Right.
it was fun. Starting all over was fun.
So tell me about that time in relation to when Victoria came to you. Was that before or after?
Oh, Victoria came to me 22 years ago.
Okay.
So the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2010. So that was what,
Okay. 10
13
years
years ago?
after. Okay.
Yeah. 10 years
Got it.
after. Yep.
Okay.
So that was like my first year as CEO. That was my number one job is the government's going to take over a business. So good luck, retool this place. And
So is that one of those where you get that email and you're like, wait, what am I reading?
yeah, what am I doing? I don't want to do this right now. But we had a lot of fun, a lot of
Okay.
help. Yeah.
So, and I imagine some of your employees were scared when they see
Big
that.
time. Yeah. I remember I wrote the email to the workforce that night, March of 2010. Is
Wow.
many of you were probably nervous whether we're going to have a job or not. And I'm telling you, if we take care of our customers and we care about each other, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
It will be different. And a culture, like its number one job is to adapt to change.
That is it. That's it. That's what Darwin said, right? Not the
Yeah.
strongest, not the smartest, those
Yeah.
who can adapt best to change.
I mean, like one of our values to be family, right? So I'm in this meeting, me with this new hire, and I said, well, we're about family. And she kind of like her head like twitched. And I go, what's that all about? She goes, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no. You twitched for a reason. Like, I want to, like, what's that all about?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, to be honest with you, I have a family and I don't want another one. I go, oh, okay, that's helpful. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I think we need to be more specific. She goes, that would be helpful. I'm like, hey, you taught me something today. So what I think of family, what you think of family, Captain Obvious just landed in the room and your definition is different than mine.
Sure. Fair. Totally fair.
So in COVID, what we did is we took those 5 values and we threw them out the window.
Oh,
And we restated all of them. We asked our generation, like our younger force, like what's important to you. So they came back with words like grit, bravery, courage, determinate, like contemporary language. Like one of our values was integrity. You should not have integrity as a company value. That's a table stake. You don't get to exist unless you have integrity. And if you do without it, then I don't want to know you.
yeah. Fair.
So
Totally fair.
they should be really representative of your workforce by generation. And they've got the language. You just have to draw it out of them.
Interesting. So it's kind of coincidental or ironic, I suppose, that they're talking about grit. And one of your challenges before was when you're going after the stuff, you could probably argue pretty strongly that you were using grit to achieve whatever it is that you were after.
Right.
So I imagine well, I guess you'll have to tell me, I guess, how is their definition different than that?
Well, like our number one core truth is cultivating a culture of care. So caring about people.
Oh,
I
okay.
can have grit as long as I care.
Okay.
I'm going to care about the people around me. I'm going to care about the customer on the other end. I'm going to care about the entire PVC pipe of processes. Now I can have grit and not care.
Okay.
And that comes with consequences. But those consequences breach our like code of ethics, our culture.
Interesting. All right. Because then they see that and like, oh, you don't have our best interest in mind.
Right.
I have been told that's why I relate to this a lot is I've been told by people like they don't say that it doesn't seem like you care. They say you don't care. And in my mind, I'm like, I totally care because if I didn't care, no one would stay. So it's interesting how that perception from an employee or group of employees or even clients or vendors, when inside you feel like I'm pretty sure I care because I need to, versus their perception, I suppose, based on your actions. Maybe you didn't seem like you care. Maybe you didn't say that you cared.
Yep.
Changes their perception or alters their perception to not be in your favor. Even though you believe in the back of your mind, like, I feel like I'm doing the stuff, I'm paying you, all that jazz. But
oh, yeah. Yep. That can get wonky too. You know what? I heard someone tell me this in a meeting one time, and we do it all the time now, is when somebody would say something like that to me, I would say back to them, you didn't say this, but this is what I heard.
Oh,
So imagine if we were in that conversation and
okay.
I would say, you didn't say this, but what I heard is you don't think I care about you.
All right.
Now they'd say, oh, I didn't say that. I was okay. Well, then what did you say? Now there's a couple things that happen there is the truth normally starts to float to the surface.
Okay.
Right. And, or if you can have somebody completely backtrack, it's like, don't backtrack. Right.
Right.
Don't
You said it,
backtrack.
you meant something.
Big time. Don't put an icing on this because we all
Mhm.
know what it tastes like. Let's just talk about it.
Mhm.
And it's that quest for the truth. What is the truth? That's super healthy. I mean, I probably made 5 mistakes today. I'll probably make 5 more before I go to bed. Who knows? I mean, we all make them.
Yeah, that's how you learn, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was joking with, well, semi-joking with an employee of mine this morning, and because we were getting inundated with problems, email was down, and just stupid stuff that happens. Every business, it's just stuff. And I'm like, if we didn't have problems, we would create them on our own just to keep the day exciting. So it's not a bad thing that we have these problems. These are just little challenges that we have to get over, move on with our life, and be happy when we lay down finally at the end of the day that we accomplished some stuff. We made the world a better place. That's our job.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. But if it was easy, everyone would do it. And if it was easy, I guess I don't see myself laying watching Netflix or something like that all day and then going to bed thinking I really accomplished a lot today.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So you need those challenges to accomplish.
Yeah, but there's a lot of leaders. You say that. There's a lot of leaders that are addicted to chaos.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know how to thrive unless it's messed up. And what happens is when everything's going really good, peace of mind is so foreign to them. And whether they know it or not, they will screw something up just to fix it because they know how to fix stuff. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's that's a warped sense. And I've seen it 100 times.
Were the people aware? Were those leaders aware of that?
No, completely. No. But no one has the courage to tell them. Like, they walk around and they'll meet with people. Like, when I walk around the building, I am called to be in relationships with the people, not in their role. So if I walked around and I saw, why are you doing it that way? That's not the way we did it back in the day. And then I would explain to them how we did it back in the day. And then they would go back and doing it back in the day. And their manager would be like, why are you doing that? It's like, well, I was talking to Scott and this is the way he used to do it. That is so freaking destructive.
Oh,
it is just wonky and it is just really destructive. But I see a lot of leaders that'll want to be in someone's role. And that's not your job. Your job is to be in relationship with those people. It's the manager's job to be inside their role. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Interesting. So we don't have a ton of time here, Scott. I want to leave people with some takeaways here. So let's just talk about small business when you're first starting out. What is something that a small business owner or manager, leader, I guess, depending upon their role, can look for to figure out or ask to figure out what their company culture is right now?
Great question. I would say before you ask that question, be brave enough to answer it yourself. What do you want your culture to be like?
Oh.
And be super brave about it. Don't be embarrassed about, well, people are going to think that's stupid or whatever. Be super brave about it.
All right. Great point.
And then you go back out and then you ask the questions in regards to, if you had to explain to a stranger what it's like to work here, what would you say? In complete transparency and honesty, what would you say?
Oh, that is a phenomenal question.
And then you would come back to, if you worked here and you met a stranger and someone said you work at McGohan Brabender, what would you want to tell them what it was like? And it's that gap. And you just start filling that gap.
So you're asking the employees what they would like to say.
Correct.
Okay.
They would say.
All right.
Versus what they would like to say.
Interesting. That is incredible right there. That was worth it right there for all the listeners, right?
There you go. Perfect.
Cool. Well, Scott, I really appreciate you being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell me, where can people find you? If they want to get in touch with you or your company?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. My name is spelled McGohan, not WAN. And there's only like 10 HANs in the country. So Scott McGohan.
Okay.
And then at McGohan Brabender, or Scott McGohan at Gmail. And love to hear from people.
Awesome. And then the book, Culture is an Inside Job.
Yep.
That can be found on Amazon, you said?
That's correct.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show, Scott.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is fun. I
fun.
learned an incredible amount, which I'm assuming that means that most of the listeners did as well. I was even taking notes, and that's a rare thing. So I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Well, I appreciate your time very much.
This has been Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. We're locally underwritten by the Bank of Sun Prairie. If you're listening or watching this on the web, if you could do us a huge favor, subscribe, give it the big old thumbs up, comment, and of course, most importantly, share it with all of your friends, especially those entrepreneurs that may have a company culture that isn't the greatest or could use a little nudge in the right direction. My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for service businesses across the country on the web at callsoncall.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur in all of us, available wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our guest, Scott McGohan of McGohan Brabender. And Scott, tell me that book name one more time.
Culture is an inside job.
You can't go wrong with that. I love it. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night. The podcast link found at drawincustomers.com. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. If you do nothing else, enjoy your business.